This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together Short Bite Edition. Thanks so much for joining us. Ariel will attest that one of the greatest games that I play is Pretty Pretty Princess.
You are excellent at Pretty Pretty Princess. You always win.
To quote, David Goggins, I take the kids' souls when I play that game.
What?
Taking souls.
What?
Taking souls. I win that game ruthlessly. But going along with my love for Pretty Pretty Princess is my love for princess math books, especially when I have.
That's a transition.
That was a day. For all those Talk Soup people who used to watch it in the old days. That was a transition.
Man, that was like 15 years ago when Joel McHale was on the show.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, we're dating ourselves.
I know, we very much are. One of the things that I have been enjoying doing is rating these cheap discount math books that you will find at like Big Lots, the various Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, all these various discount stores. You'll always find kind of a little education section in their book area. And I always love going in there because there's always these really fun kind of discount books that are all thematic. They're all always tied into some theme. Like they'll have a Paw Patrol one. This one is obviously the one I'm holding in my hands is the Disney Princess one. With the actual Disney princesses, it's not like like knockoff Disney princesses. This is Schmeriel from the Schmermaid.
Yeah, it's actual princesses.
It's actual princesses, and you'll see a whole host of them, and they have them for boys, typical boy things that people like, trucks and things like that. And sometimes they'll have princess stuff, and sometimes they'll just have kind of fun things that are kind of nature based and whatnot. So you'll be able to find something that your learner likes, whatever your learner likes, you'll be able to find it. And obviously my daughter has an issue with princesses, and now my 2.5-year-old is getting the princess thing. And if anybody's ever seen our YouTube videos, then you will know that it is not my fault. I am not a princess guy. But anyway, I always like getting these books. First of all, they're cheap. So they kind of fit into almost anybody's
usually
budget.
a buck, $2 at the most if you find one at like Big Lots.
I mean, you're getting what you're paying for.
You could also go to like Marshall's, Ross, any of those kind of like discount stores. These books are, how many pages is this?
30 pages.
30 pages, right?
Not even that much.
This one is an addition and subtraction book by Bendon, and you'll see that they've got quite a few of them. But this has got, if you just kind of open it up here, we're looking at it in front of us.
Basically just number problems.
It's just a bunch of practice problems, but it includes all those Disney princesses our daughter loves.
And sometimes there
are other fun activities, all full color.
And sometimes there's variations. Like there are word problems. So it's like, Jasmine bought 4 jewels at the market. She got 3 more as gifts from her father. How many jewels does she have in all? Yeah.
There's also the 7. Decoding one where she's got to do all these addition problems.
Our daughter found out she liked the decoding thing where
make like words.
Yeah. Each addition problem, like say it's 11 plus 2 is 13, and that represents R. And so she has to go down and decode the message and stuff, and like a glass slipper. And this was for Cinderella.
Our daughter loved this book, you guys.
She loved them. And so like these are I have like a ton of these. So this is obviously numbers 1 to 20. So the addition never got higher than 20 as the answer. So if you're targeting, early kindergarten, so if you're finishing up the Right Start Math, you're starting the Math Mammoth thing, this is kind of right in that wheelhouse if you need some additional problems.
Yeah, I think we're basically looking at second grade and under is kind of the level of the books that we've seen so far. Yeah. I think these are really great for like if you want to do some road schooling, you have an older sibling maybe who's at like a basketball practice or something, you want to take one of these. Our daughter loves these books. They're so fun. Even her grandparents have started buying these books for her. When they go to one of these stores and they find them, they just pick them up. Yeah, and it's something that they can do fun together too.
At the most there might be 20 problems on a page. Sometimes they'll be spread across them. Tiana, Belle, it's got all the princesses and everything. Really fun little activities. Not very hard, not very difficult. Super, super affordable. I love pulling them out as just kind of a warm up to get her brain going, thinking about the numbers and thinking about addition and thinking about place, places, number places for, the ones, the tens place, getting her head wrapped around that. Because sometimes, you just don't have enough problems, and math is really it's a muscle that you need to train. I always laughed about it when I was taking physics back in back in the good old days, back in college, and you always saw so many people studying the concepts, and the concepts are good and everything, but when you get into the test, you need to have done a lot of problems, because it's that thing I always talk about with reading difficult books, that you don't want to overcome three things, which is the language is difficult, the meaning is challenging, and the plot, and it could be challenging as well. So you're combining all three of those. That's a huge hurdle to overcome. Math is very similar to that. You need to be doing problems. You need to practice them. You need to get that muscle memory. You need to have that confidence that you've seen a lot of different variations of math problems. Adding up to 20, you can do it a bunch of different ways. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen all those ways, or you're not comfortable with 18 plus 2, because 18 is a big number and that's super scary to a young learner, they kind of, they start to freeze up. It's a lot easier to add 10 plus 10 because, I've seen that, or I can look at my hands and I can look at my toes, and that makes a lot more sense. But those numbers like 17 and 13 are really challenging because they're weird looking. You got to overcome that. And the best way to do that is through practice. Mm-hmm. I used to do this with my physics problems. I would have to do a lot of problems so that I got comfortable enough with the math that I can then spend the time to make sure I was doing the concepts correct. So the math wasn't the greatest hurdle in the test. It was the concepts. Same thing here. Same thinking here. You always want to do the practice. And so I bring these in. Again, I don't spend a lot of time on this. This is less than 5 minutes of warm-up work. I'll tell her, even if there's multiple problems on a page, I'll just say, do these two columns, do these 8 problems. Mm-hmm. She'll do them really quick. We'll close it up. I'll put it back in the basket and I'll pull it out in a day or two. I don't even do it every single day. But maybe once a week I tend to do these books. I now have a first grade one upstairs that's a little bit more advanced math problems that I just pull out once in a while, give it to her. And sometimes I use it because it's princess themed. If you can find one that's themed for your learner that they enjoy, maybe if they're having a sticky day and you're like, ooh, I don't think I'm going to be getting a lot of math out of them today. Maybe you pull one of these things out and say, you know what, if you can just give me some problems, we'll have made some progress, at least with your confidence around math.
Right. And keeping with that muscle building, I think the thing is, it's really easy to find free math practice problems. Oh, yeah. I mean, you can find them all over where you can generate them.
On our Facebook group, there's generators to do them. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Math Mammoth gives problems. Generators, right? There's all that stuff, but the caveat is, while there are a bunch of free ones, and you can write math problems yourself and take the time. Yeah. This is such an engaging theme.
It has Ariel and Tangled and Cinderella.
Why does nobody remember Rapunzel's name? She's just Tangled. Even our 2-year-old, that's Sorry. Tangled.
Rapunzel.
Anyways, so point being, it is easy to find lots of problems for free, but I think that the fact that you can get them in characters, fun themes that your kids are going to enjoy makes math seem more fun, especially if they're kind of maybe hitting a rut in whatever curriculum you're using, that you want to just give them something that they're going to deem as fun. These are great, and they're so cheap. I mean, pick a few up for $1. So, next time you're
if you never get through them all, it's not a great loss. We spend more money on buying random unit studies all the time instead of getting like fun little books like this.
Absolutely. These are great churn through books. So, this is one that we really love, but, hit us up. Let us know which great cheap resources that you like to pull in and add to your homeschool, because we're always looking for new fun ways to, show something a little bit differently and engage our learners differently.
Well, and that's the one thing, just as something, as an aside, it's something that we've noticed, or that I've noticed, that we're always searching for something that's more than just the curriculums that we're doing. Like I have the math curriculums, we spent the money on Right Start Math. I was just talking to a mom at our parent partnership today, and she was like, oh, what's that math curriculum you're using? I was like, oh, it's Right Start Math, and we're doing Math Mammoth. She goes, oh, I'm doing Math Mammoth. Yeah. What's the other one? And I'm like, yeah, okay. But like, it's a lot of times I'm doing so much more. There's so many more things that I'm doing. I think I'm doing
not
it.
That we have to,
not
certainly.
That you have to, but I always like having different things that I can lean on. It's not that we're not moving fast enough. I mean, we're moving plenty fast. It's just that I like to have different things for her to do, and it's not just the same thing. Like, we always joke about it's all math and reading in first and, the kindergarten, first and second grade, and I don't want the home to feel like that either. So I want there to be that variety. And there can only be so much variety when you're just doing one curriculum.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
we're just doing the Math Mammoth books. And the kid just says, okay, math today, it's always the blue book. It's always the blue book. It's always the blue book. And that's okay. Math Mammoth is great.
I mean, hey, if that works for you and your kiddo, for our kid,
Exactly.
she would get kind of, yeah.
I can see it in her eyes. She's
a
like,
little
oh,
stale.
okay, it's math time. It's like, and I don't ever want her to feel like that. I want her to feel excited about math, and like today I showed her the negative number space, and she's been doing negative numbers now. And I'm like, we're doing math facts. So it's like 7, 2, and 5. And instead of going 7 minus 2 is 5, she goes 2 minus 7 is -5. And I'm like, I'm going to give that to you because you're having fun. I'm going to let you do that. Like, those are the little things that I'm doing that just like, I'm not going to stop you and say that's wrong because it's technically right, but it's not what they're asking for. But these are the things that I like to just add in, like just let them have fun, let them play with math. And this is one thing that I've been doing to help keep the excitement and the fun and whatnot. When I know we're just grinding through math problems and trying to keep it as fun as possible.
One of the things I like about these two is these different kind of, cheapy math workbooks too, is it gives a chance for our children to show their mastery at something, right? One of the things is that there's always this balance between teaching new things and letting them enjoy having mastered something. So what I like about some of these is that sometimes she can go through them very quickly and then she feels so great about herself. Sometimes we'll do this just so that she, walks in being like, yeah, I feel confident about math and, she's enjoying her mastery before we then teach her something new that she's going to have to maybe noodle on a little bit. So that's one of the other things. So if you have a child that really gets a lot out of, showing their mastery, then finding books like this are great. And sometimes I always feel like we're trying to push to the next level. Like, okay, well, hey, we already taught her that and she knows it. Let's move on. Sometimes it's nice to just let them enjoy what they know and using it and being proud of, how easy, quote unquote, that was now for them to do. So that's just another point we shouldn't miss.
So we challenge you, go out to the Dollar Tree, find the
That's right.
find the Paw Patrol edition book from 1 to 20 and see if your learner likes it.
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
happy homeschooling!